What's happening, y'all? This is Avidan, and welcome back to part two of this Music Monday series. So, what we're gonna do is, if y'all didn't see last week, I recommend you go check out last week where we made a beat from scratch, and the idea is how to make a beat that's not really how to work through a beat that's not really working out the best way and everything. So this week is going to focus more so on the mixing and the arranging of the beat. We got what we got last week, and now this week we're going to mix it down and then arrange it, and for the most part, put this into a whole song when we're done. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to go from there. So for the most part, we got everything that we need right here. We got basically all of the sounds we're going to be using. I got the beginning to the end. I'm gonna play it out for y'all. Let y'all hear it. It's not fully perfect, not fully done, but for the most part, I showed you all how to mix this down. I didn't walk you through it, so you could play back the tutorial to see exactly what I did on how I edited my sounds. Um, the most I will tell you is when I go into the mixer, if you notice down here, it was going from, well, you can't see it on your screen, but well, actually you can. You can see how this is moving up here. All I did was press the turn wheel to alter between switching from panning and the volume. So that was the main thing that I was doing from the beginning. And then from there on, I was just editing the beat as I went. So I'm gonna let y'all listen to it, and we'll be done from there. Let's go. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up. I just wanted to show y'all like just a pretty easy way, well, simple, I'm not gonna call it easy, but a simple way on how you can work to the beat. You see how when we use just two separate days to work on the beat, that was able to come together. I want you all to embrace that as part of the process of making music. You don't have to make the entire beat in one day. You can get the idea down, but you don't have to make the entire beat for one day. I mean, artists who, I'm gonna say artists, talk about like people who paint, they don't necessarily do the whole entire painting in one day. Some do, but there's a lot who will do a little each day because their creative genius is not putting all the pieces together at once. In fact, there's parts of them that allows themselves to go experience life a little bit more. And then when they come back, they use the inspiration they gained from life throughout the day or throughout the week in order to make the portrait or whatever they're doing even better. And I would say use the same thing when it comes to music. Give yourself the right to say, you know what, I did what I needed to for today. I'll come back to this. There, and I say this because there have been a time where bragging about how many beats you made in a day was a flex. To a lot of people back in the SoundClick days, it was a flex to say, "Oh, I made 15 beats in a day," and that's cool. But how many of those 15 beats were likable? How many of those 15 beats were memorable? So for you, if you make a beat that's not one of your best, you'll remember it more because you took more time into it. And there's probably some techniques you learned in making that beat that you could apply in your future beats. So just want to leave y'all with that. If you don't know already, my name is Avidan Smith, and I help creatives like you find your unique sound and live a purpose driven life. If you have not already, check the link down in the description for Melodics. There is a discount code there for you, 15% off for those of you who are just signing up. And I am looking forward to catching you on the next one. If you want to check out more of my machine videos, my tutorials, check out the video right here. Catch you in the next one. Peace.